Welcome to the Gentle Business Rebellion podcast. This is a space for thoughtful women entrepreneurs over 50 who have outgrown the business they've built. So in each episode, we explore things like what it looks like to redesign your business through a gentle pivot by rediscovering who you are in the season, redefining what your business needs to look like now, and realigning your work to support your life. And pulling that all together, how does that create opportunities, the opportunities you've been looking for to have a deeper impact in the lives of those you serve? Today's episode, I'm sharing with you one of the biggest lessons I have learned from now publishing 100 episodes of this podcast. And it's about how finding your voice and really understanding who you are now. This is an identity of figuring out who you are in this season and how that can make a difference in your confidence, in your decision making, in your business, and even how you show up to serve. This is episode 100 of the podcast. And on the one hand, I'm shocked. On the other hand, I'm like, oh, this is very exciting. And it took me a lot longer to get here than I anticipated. This is the third name of the podcast. This is the Gentle Business Rebellion podcast. And I've had to take a couple breaks over the years since I started back in 2024. And that's okay. I come back when I'm ready. I come back when I have something to say. And apparently I come back with a new name. When I first started this podcast back in 2024, it was the Sela Entrepreneur podcast, mostly because I couldn't come up with a good name, and Sela what fit my branding. It was my company is Sela Studios. And then I did have to take a break. I have a long history of caregiving for my mother and various family members. And in 2025, things started to come to a head. Things changed. And I finally had to let things go. And I had to decide what stays, what goes, because I need to be able to continue to work and show up for my mother. And the podcast is one thing that I had to let go. I thought it was going to be maybe at most 3-4 weeks. Turned out to be closer to about 7-8 months. And I came back, and going through what I had changed. And so I knew the Sela Entrepreneur name wasn't going to fit anymore. And so what I knew I needed in my life, and I was having conversations with other clients, and the biggest thing that I was hearing is that we need to show up gently in our business. And all of a sudden the word gentle and gently showed up in a lot of what I was talking about with my clients and what I was creating for my clients. And so I came back as doing business gently. And that fit in that season. That really was a turning point for me in understanding and finding my voice in a new way after going through some pretty intense life changes. And then I had to take a break again because my mother's health changed again and I needed to take a break and focus on that. And when I came back this time, I actually wasn't sure for a while there if I would come back. But then there was this day I said, you know what? I'm ready. It's time to come back. And I'm looking forward to showing up in the podcast and meeting with you every week. And I came back with a new name. It came back with the name of my movement, something that I am very passionate about. And that is the Gentle Business Rebellion podcast. So in finding your voice, and finding your voice is important. One of the first things I want you to realize that it's okay to change your mind. And when you are going through something like finding your voice, you're not going to find it unless you speak. You're not going to find it unless you write. You're not going to find it unless you show up and do video. You're not going to find it without showing up and taking action. And as you take action, you find clarity. And as you find clarity, you find confidence. And as you find confidence, you start making changes and taking steps forward. And as you take steps forward, you gain more clarity, which gives you more confidence, which gives you the confidence to take more action. There is a cycle here. So when you're not out there working on finding your voice, because you're finding your voice doesn't just show up on your doorstep. You have to go find it. It is a journey. It is a process. And if you don't do that, you start to lose confidence, you start to lose clarity, you start to lose momentum. So as you're moving forward, as you're taking steps forward, it's okay to change your mind, because as you're finding your voice, you're going, wait a minute, what I've been talking about, that wasn't me, that was a coach. That was a podcast. That was an AI tool that was helping me refine some of my messaging. And when you get to that point and you realize, wait a minute, this is my voice. This is what I think. It is incredibly freeing, and it changes you from the inside out. So that's the first thing I want you to remember as you're moving forward, getting ready to find your voice. Is that it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to pivot. If you know that all of a sudden you've been saying things and maybe parroting what you've heard other people say, and a lot of times it's an amalgamation of several different somebodies, it's okay to say, that's really not what I think. I'm ready to go in my direction. These are the skills. These are the experiences I've had. This is the abilities that the Lord has given me. And it's time for me to follow that. I'm finding my voice and I'm heading in that direction. Number 2 is go gently. That's one of the things about the Gentle Business Rebellion is we do not have to enter this state of toxic hustle and go, and feeling pushed into go in a direction that is not right for us, or going at a pace that is unsustainable, or going in the direction where all these coaches are telling us in order to have a successful business, you need to do that. If it's not aligned with who you are, if it's not aligned with what you believe, it's not aligned with what the Lord is telling you you need to do or the direction to go, that is not gentle. And so your rebellion, your invitation to the Gentle Business Rebellion is to say, no, thank you for sharing your opinions, but this is what I know to be true. This is what the Lord has shown me. This is what I know from my experience. I need to go in this direction. Because when you're going in your direction, when you are learning to pause and reflect and get to know your voice, and you can pray over it, you can journal about it, you can speak about it, whatever you need to do, that is going in a gentle direction because you're not constantly fighting your own thoughts. You're not constantly second guessing yourself. You're not constantly trying to take what Coach A, B, and C are telling you because Coach XYZ are telling you something exactly different. That is not a gentle way to be in business. It's not a gentle way to show up in your business. Now, going gently does not mean that everything is going to be sunshine and roses. But when you know you're not fighting all these external voices, when you're not fighting your own mind and second guessing and doubting, that is a much gentler pace to take in your business. And again, as you go gently and you're learning to pause and reflect and assess what you're learning and what direction you're going, and you're checking on your business and how you're doing and how you're doing in your business, you are learning to do things simply and sustainably and giving yourself the ability to move forward so that you can get clarity, so that you can get confidence, so that you can take action. And then also, as you are finding your voice again, at the beginning, it may feel like it's hard, and that's okay. It is hard. It's meant to be hard on some level because now you are a beginner. You are finding and developing your muscles of using your voice, using your experience, using how you've been gifted to show up in the world, in your business, to make a difference in the lives of others. And you can do hard things. Again, gentle does not mean sunshine and roses 100% of the time. It's also not something that says you never have to hustle. A gentle business is not necessarily anti-hustle. I actually don't believe in anti-hustle. I do believe that there are times we have to hustle to get something done. You're going on vacation. You have a deadline. Sometimes there is hustle that needs to happen to get your business to the point you want it, to finish a project, to meet a deadline. But if that's for a specific season and a specific reason, hustle is okay. What isn't okay is when hustle becomes the norm. Because when hustle becomes a norm, you forget that you are a beginner. You forget that it's okay to change your mind. Those blinders go on, and there's just gentle hum of anxiety, or sometimes not so gentle, but this low-level angst and anxiety that's living with you in your business. That is not a gentle business. That is not a gentle business rebellion. A gentle business rebellion says, I'm a beginner. I am learning to use these muscles. I'm finding these muscles. I'm learning how to find my voice and use it. And it's okay that this is a little bit hard right now, because I am learning, I am growing, I am figuring out in a deeper way what I've gone through and how I have changed. I want to share with you, this year has been extremely hard. This is April, end of April in 2026. I did lose my mother this year, and my world immediately changed. The entrepreneur I was for the first 15 years changed. And I had to take a step back. I'm still taking a step back in many ways to figure out who I am in this season and understanding how I have changed. And there are things that are hard because all of a sudden I have to think a new way. I have to show up in my business a different way. And that's hard because it feels like in many ways I am beginning again. I am doing some hard things. I'm developing some new muscles that I forgot I had because of the last 15 years of caregiving and advocacy and having my mother be such a high priority in my life. Now that she doesn't need that anymore, all that I went through has changed me. I did not come out of that the same person. And so I am finding myself, and I am a beginner. And a lot of these things are hard. But if it was easy, one, I wouldn't appreciate it. If it was easy, I wouldn't grow nearly as much. We can do hard things, and it's okay to be a beginner and find these new muscles as you figure out who you are in this season. Because you too have been through hard things. You too have come out the other side a different person, and you're wondering, what now? What do I do? Who am I? And one of the ways that you do that, and this is number 4 in the lessons of finding your voice and what I've learned through doing this podcast, is find your outlet or find your medium of how you like to show up. Do you like to show up in a blog? Do you like to write? Do you like audio like this? One thing about doing the podcast is it showed me how much I love audio. I had no idea when I first started it. I thought I'd enjoy it, but I had no idea how easy it would be for me to show up on audio. Do you like to show up on video? Whatever it is, find your outlet and start writing down what you think. Start speaking what you think. And I am going to invite you that even if you're somebody who loves to write and can show up well in your writing, sometimes you need that pattern interrupt. And maybe you need to speak out loud for a while. When I came back to my business after my mother passed, I was still working in my business, still needed to support my clients. My business is how I support myself. But I took a step back from a lot of things. The podcast did get released for a while. I did stop emailing my list for a few weeks. And when it came time to, you know what, I'm ready to start talking about my business, but I also know that I've changed. How do I identify those changes? I was reminded by one of my mastermind members, the idea of speaking out your thoughts. And this is something that's different from showing up in the podcast. This was me just showing up. I love to use Descript for the podcast. And so I actually just turned on Descript and I wrote down several questions that I wanted to answer. And over the course of about a week, in about 3 to 4 pretty in-depth recording sessions, I ended up with about a little over 2 hours, I think, of recording, of answering these questions about things that come up in my business all the time, questions that come up from my clients, things that I have learned, things that I know to be true based on my experience and who I can help. And I recovered my voice. I rediscovered my voice. Maybe not recovered, but I uncovered, because I have changed since I started my business 15 years ago. I have most definitely changed over the last 2 years as things with my mother changed. I have changed on the other side of losing my mother. There's a lot of things I tolerate. There's a lot of things I don't. There's a lot of things I also realized had gotten buried under the noise of social media, under the noise of programs that I had purchased, under the noise of AI tools that were meant to be really good to help me kind of refine my voice and refine my messaging. I was starting to lose myself. Those AI tools were wonderful on the days that I really just couldn't think, but I knew I needed to get out an email, or I needed to polish off an email that I had written because it was 2 pages and it really needed to be 1 page. There's amazing tools out there that can help you refine and do things faster. But when you're going through an identity change, I do think that you can get easily buried under AI tools, social media, email, so much noise coming at you that you have forgotten what you think, what you believe, what you understand. And so I took that time to speak it out. And I came out of that experience a different person. I came out of it so much more confident. I realized I still have a lot to say. And I realized that I have a lot that I haven't yet said. And now we're on this 100th episode of the podcast. And I'm realizing I have a lot more to share. And I'm really excited to show up with you every week and helping you rediscover your voice, helping you understand who you are in this season, and what is it going to take for your business to catch up to you and the growth, and what are you going to do moving forward? The other thing that I've learned is that even as a multi-passionate entrepreneur, I can commit to things. This is something that has plagued me most of my entrepreneurial life. I am multi-passionate. I have lots of ideas. My business itself has gone through many iterations, from virtual assistant to WordPress virtual assistant to a WordPress designer to a WordPress consultant, and now to coaching. And along the way, I have done other things such as starting a blog, self-publishing. I started the podcast. I've had an Etsy store of various iterations over the years. And I always had this belief that I couldn't commit to something, that I would make a big commitment and I wouldn't stick with it. Back in 2020, I was feeling the angst of the pandemic just getting kicked off. I could feel it in the lives of my clients. And one thing that I've worked with in order to help with my anxiety is a practice of gratitude. And I made a commitment back in 2020 to start emailing my people once a week, which is quite something because after, at that point, 12 years in business, I had started and stopped my newsletter so many times, I never thought I would be able to stick with it. But that day, something changed, and I was able to make a commitment that I'm going to show up every week. And so that Grateful Friday newsletter, where I focused on gratitude and what I was learning about my business and what I could do to help my readers. One, it helped me find my voice, the voice that fit me in that season. I also realized I could commit, and over 6 years, I only missed maybe 3 to 4 weeks. And those are all due to my mom's health changing, and I needed to be there for her. And when I started the podcast, I realized, okay, this is another decision point that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to commit to it for a year. And I made it, I think, to week 50. And when things were shifted with my mom and I just had to let it go. But here we are again at 100. And you can commit to things, to an idea, to a direction, to a purpose, even as a multi-passionate entrepreneur, as a woman with a lot of creative ideas that you want to pursue. You can commit, because when you commit to one direction, even if it's for a short term, but you commit to it and go all in, you are finding your voice. You're not jumping off in all sorts of different directions and having your opinions and your thoughts diluted as you spread it out. You are committing to something, focusing on it, and learning what you really believe about it, what you know about it, what you're learning, and you're doing it as a beginner, and you're doing the hard thing, and you can go gently, and it's okay to change your mind. To wrap this all up, I just want to remind all of us that finding your voice, rediscovering who you are, understanding what you've gone through in a hard season, you've come out the other side changed. That clarity that you're looking for, finding your voice, getting that confidence, finding that and taking that forward momentum, it comes from taking action. And when you take action, you're finding that clarity. And then you're finding that confidence to take further action. And you're going forward. And I want to insert one more thing in here. The importance of rest in a gentle business rebellion, in a gentle pivot, in going through an alignment process. Rest is what makes it possible to build a simple and sustainable business that makes an impact and is one that you can steward. Your voice is something worth discovering because we need your voice. We need to hear what you think. We need you to show up and make a difference in the lives of those you serve. And when you can do that from a place of rest, your gentle business rebellion takes on whole new meaning. And you can move forward at a pace that fits you. When you make the time and you are creating space, you can be successful. You can find your voice. And through that, you also need to find your pace. Not the coach's pace that you're working with, not the pace of those you're hearing in social media, not at the pace of all the emails that are coming at you. Your pace. And creating that time, making the space, and finding your pace is not about hiding. It's about creating a stable foundation for you to build from. And when you have discovered your voice, you have an incredible foundation to build from, because then now you can redefine what your work in your business needs to look like now, because now you know your voice. You are speaking it. You are sharing what you believe. You are sharing how you can help people. Now you can redefine your business and get a new vision for your business sometimes. And then you can realign your business so that your work is supporting your life and you are showing up as fully you. When you have that clarity, when you understand who you are, when you have rediscovered your voice, the best way I can describe it is it's like coming home to you. Because now you see, this is how I've grown. This is what I believe. This is how God made me. And I am showing up as fully me. And that's an incredible gift. And that's an incredible gift you give to the people you serve. So if you do a podcast, if you blog, if you write a book, if you do videos, showing up as fully you is a gift. And when you say, this is what I believe, this is how I can help, and I would like to invite you to work with me, that is also a gift. And now you're using your voice in a much deeper, impactful way when you can use your voice on a one-to-one level to help somebody transform their lives. But all of this, rediscovering your voice, building that foundation, 1, starts from a place of rest. 2, it comes from taking action. So if you've been with me since episode number 1, thank you. Thank you for living through the name changes, some of the content changes. Thank you for staying with me through the gaps. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And this is episode 100. I'm very excited. And to celebrate, I'm going to ask you a big favor. If you have been listening for a while, or if you got something out of this episode, would you leave a review for me on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you're listening? I would love to hear what you are getting from this podcast. I would love to hear your aha, what you are getting from the idea of rediscovering your voice and starting your own gentle business rebellion. If you could leave a review and a rating, I would love that. Thank you. And thank you for being here and celebrating episode 100 with me.